We have what are called aggregate functions in SQL. And what aggregate functions do is they take a set of data from a given column or possibly a formula, and they run what's called aggregated data on it, but we can think of it as summary data because what it does is, for example, if I said give me the average budget of everybody who's a computer programmer, it would group together all of the computer programmer values. So I'd find computer programmer here, and here, and it would grab all of their budgets and any other computer programmers we might have in the system. If it first groups all that stuff together and then it runs that average function on it. Now, in order for this to work, if you do multiple functions later on, you have to make sure that your grouping's all taken care of and whatever. Now, we are not going to work on subdividing things. We're going to treat the entire table as a group for today, and we'll learn about grouping by multiple sections over time. In the meantime, let's just do a couple of examples this way. Now we're going to look at 5 aggregate functions in total. We have this first one you can already see I've commented it. It says we have count. Now count will tell you the number of records that exist given a certain criteria. Now you can use count in 2 ways. You can do count star, and that'll just count how many records. It doesn't care about what data is in the columns. You can also use count with a column name. But if you do it that way, you can sometimes get unexpected results because it does not count the null values or the empty values in columns. And sometimes that's what you want, sometimes it's not what you want. But if you don't want to count null values, then you probably should just use a where clause to filter those out. You can't always get away with that though, so we are going to look at using count column, but we're going to leave that until a little bit later in the term. For now, as a rule of thumb, use count asterisks all the time. Okay, so you've got count asterisks. You've also got, actually let's leave that count there. You've also got minimum, maximum. Those should be pretty self-explanatory. It takes your set of values and finds the lowest or the highest value. Then you've got average. So it adds them all together, divides by the number of values, and it gets the average. And then there is sum, which just adds all the values together and gives you the total. So pretty obvious stuff, right? There's a couple of small things that you have to care about when you're dealing with these summary functions. For example, you can't produce every record when you're doing summary functions, so you basically are limited to having row headings and your summary functions, and you can't have just flat out value columns come out. As a rule, if you use an aggregate function, you want to make sure that you only use aggregate functions throughout your select statement for now, and later on we'll also see that you can throw additional columns into a group by clause. We're not using that today though, so for now, just as a rule, if you use a select statement with an aggregate function, everything on that select line has to have an aggregate function around it.